I think there's a big difference between being selfish and being self-respecting. Self-respecting is putting your oxygen mask on. Now, being selfish is putting it on and turning a blind eye if somebody else might need your help putting theirs on. That's not to say stop taking care of you to help them, but it's just like they say on the airplane, make sure you secure yours before you help anyone else. Because there's the saying, you're no good to anybody else if you're no good for yourself. And you're just going to deplete.
I think the saying is, you're no good to anyone else if you're dead. I would never look at my daughter and be like, it's not all about you, Zoe. Get it through your mind. Other people live in this world. Like, fuck no. It is all about you. Now, do we need to, with my daughter specifically, she has everything that I learned in my 30s in her 9-year-old body. So I'm having the opposite, which I prefer, parenting style, where I don't have to tell her to dim or to be less.
Welcome to I Am Her. We're all about glitter, grit, and grace. This is The Shift, where spiritual meets spicy, F-bombs meet forgiveness, and shadow work occasionally throws glitter.
Welcome, everyone, to I Am Her, Season 2, episode number... God damn it. Ding, ding, ding. 8. These two buttons are right next to each other.
I know, I feel like you do it every time, and sometimes I'm like, man, is she doing that shit on purpose? But you really aren't.
No, anyway, I am Emmy.
And I'm Thylene.
And here we are.
Yes,
back
here
again.
We are. You're so welcome.
So we had a little bit of a pivot. Last time we recorded, we discussed our upcoming event that we had planned that happened, but
it did.
I unfortunately was not able to go because 4 hours before I was supposed to get on my flight to go to Seattle, we had a storm here. We had it for about a day and a half before that, but it just would not let up. And I finally got an alert on my phone that said, your flight's been canceled. I was not able to make it to Seattle.
I was so devastated.
I was devastated too. The first person I called was Alyssa. I was crying. I was at work and I called her and I was just sobbing because I was so upset. And I looked for other flights, but where we live, I would have had to driven 2.5, 3 hours to Denver and the roads were closed. I live right on I-80. And I-80 was shut down, and then 25 that you catch when you go down that way was closed for a short time, and by the time I would have gotten there, it would have been dark, and we don't drive in the dark, and it would not have been safe, and it was just not possible. And then the next flight out of Laramie to get to Seattle was not till Sunday. Mm-hmm. There was really no way. I was glad that they made that call because there was some things that happened at the airport in Denver, and a plane actually ran into an like a de-icer truck because it was so slick and the plane couldn't stop. So it was probably for the best anyway from a safety perspective, but I was still very upset. And so then I called my daughter because she was going to go to the event and we were planning on spending that time together. So I had to let her know that I wasn't going to be there, but I'm glad that she went anyway. And so that kind of leads into the topic of today's episode is putting yourself first, putting on your oxygen mask, and making sure that you are taken care of. Because although I was very sad and very upset that I couldn't be at an event that I helped plan and put together,
sorry,
it's not funny, but
what else can you do?
I know. And so instead, I told myself I was going to do nothing related to any projects or anything that was not specifically for me. And so I put all of that aside and I just I've been wanting to write a series. I've had it in my back pocket for quite some time, but I haven't had a chance to work on it. And so I worked on book 1 and book 2 of the series, and I almost got them to the point where they're ready to be line edited, which I do myself. So that's what I did all weekend. I just spent my weekend writing and doing things for me. And I didn't do anything for anybody else. Literally, our podcast episode that we posted today was actually posted late because I did not do it over the weekend. I did not do anything.
I love that for you.
Aside stuff for myself.
Yeah. No, I totally love that for you. And I think it's so important to do that. Like, you could have very much been of the mindset of, oh, I like have all this time. How much can I get done? Oh, I could knock out this list of things that I neglected for the last month or so. You know what I mean? Like, when you gain time back in your schedule, it's really hard to say, you know what, that stuff is going to be there on Monday, and just be, especially for people like me who are like OCD and gotta make up time, and I have 5 billion projects, and I can't even imagine if my plans didn't work out. I'm not gonna lie, I would probably be like, okay, where can I pick up somewhere else and drag that line a little bit further so that I don't have to stress later. So I'm really proud of you. I am slightly offended that I didn't find out until super late that you weren't coming. Alyssa eventually was like, you didn't hear? Em's not coming? And I was like, the fuck do you mean? Did she die?
But did you die?
Yeah. She doesn't know the weather, and I know about your weather. And so I was like, it's all she had to say was weather. And I was like, rage style. No, I was really sad just because we've done every event in tandem. Like, we've been on the same trajectory as far as like, it was our first time speaking, the first one together. We both had note cards that time, and I even joked about it on stage because you had put your note cards away, and I was like, this bitch. And then when I was on stage, I was like, Emmy, she put her note cards away, and I was about to tell her that she's a traitor, but then she pulled them back out, so we're good again. But like, we have had so many like growth moments together at this event, and I think that we get close in our podcast. We do a lot of talking and we learn a lot doing this together, I think. But I think that what we do at Cocoon Butterfly is more of a soul knowing of the souls, merging of the souls, which sounds crazy, but I think that you just don't know until you experience it, like what it actually does. And you truly come out like a new form of soul sisters every time, I think. And so it was a different experience. I kept being like, I got to tell Em, or I got to like, where's Em? And just because not only that, but you and I both help with setup and takedown. And I do have to say that for someone that wasn't there, you were referenced quite often on mics, and not just by Alyssa. And like, I was standing up there and I was like, everybody needs an M.
So next time, which the next event is in June.
Yeah.
I'll just have to make up for it.
Yeah. And the one in June is going to be, there's some changes that are being made, and for the better, just based on the knowledge that we've gained after doing 3 of these suckers. And they're like massive to put together. They're just a lot of parts to put together. There's 12 different speakers. I mean, it's an intense thing to be a part of. Like, we don't have a planning committee, but that's the best way to explain it. And then to be a part of it and actually speak, besides being part of the moving parts. And then when you get to the end of it, it's like, God, that was so worth it. Like, every piece of it was just so worth the energy that we put into it. Like, you get it back tenfold. So Anyway, this last weekend was fabulous. June 27th, we went to go look at the new location. And when I say fucking wow, and also smaller space, so limited amount of seats. But I think what we found from this one that we just did was that the more intimate piece of it was so special that it's worth keeping it. Not that if 150 people want to come, that we wouldn't split up and do separate events, like maybe do one sooner or in between.
Yeah.
That's like a smaller version of it or group thing, whatever. I'm just saying. But the live event is like unlike anything you'll ever experience. And when so many people get in a room and just want so badly to, the word that's coming to me is grow, but it's so much bigger than that. And you do, like you level, oh, I'm getting soul chills right now. Like when you level up together, it's so sick. I don't know, I'm channeling my inner Jamie. Like it's so fucking dope. And I do have to say that, like, kudos to Jamie because, man, she just came in and rocked it and picked up the slack, if you will, when needed, and just made such a powerful impact. But also she was like more vulnerable than I've ever seen her on stage, like in front of people before, which was really special to be a part of. I could talk for like hours and hours about each stage, each person, each like moment, each meditation, each like gong of the sound bath. There are so many pieces that make it special. And it makes me super emotional because I just want everyone to experience what we experience. I know you weren't a part of this one, but I really think that you'll feel the same heart of what this weekend was at the next one. Yeah.
It's good.
And I'm excited for you to experience it.
Yeah.
You're going to lose your mind in June.
I think my daughter's going to come back with me too. So that'll be good.
I was going to say, I talked to your daughter a little bit. She's just the sweetest soul. And not to put her experience on blast, because everything that happens there is your story and it's very a safe space where you can just experience. But she moved, man. Like my whole body is chills right now. She had some massive moments.
That's good because I'm not going to talk about her business here, but
yeah,
she definitely needed it.
She deserves it. Yeah.
She needed to know that it's a safe space to start to heal from everything. So.
Yeah. And I think she moved through a few stages and just in one weekend. I think she was able to get to a point where she was moving things through and releasing things. Like whatever those are, that's her story and her moments to have. But the energy felt very like it was moving. Not talking about her specifically at the moment now. I'm talking about people in general. When they experience grief or fear or pain, your body kind of clenches up and your muscles. So I guess I can use my own story as an example. Whenever my mom died, I didn't know, but my shoulders, like my muscles, my shoulders, like everything was tight and pulled in. And a friend sent me a little meme that had an eyeball on it that was crying. And it said something along the lines of grief is just love with nowhere to go. And when I when I realized how much I loved my mom. It gave me peace. It was the first time, I think, since she had died that I took a deep breath. And I could literally feel everything. So I went from here, which if you're not on our YouTube, like tense shoulders to your ears, like everything drawn in.
Whole body contracting, like the whole
Yes.
thing.
But it doesn't go away. Like, it had been like 2 months that I just was, and I didn't even realize I was in pain because my grief was so bad that I didn't feel. And then as soon as I read that and I understood in my brain that was love, I was like, oh, and everything relaxed. And I was able to just breathe again. And I think that happens in a lot of ways. But another response that your body physically has is like throwing up. Like when my son, everything happened to him, when it was first said to me, after everything happened and we got home, I was in the bathroom for, I don't even know how long, puking my brains out. Like, your body just, fear and anxiety and like pain and grief. It's so crazy, the havoc that it wreaks on your nervous system and your body. And what's even crazier is that we think that we're handling it. And because we're still going to school, or we're still going to work, or we're still taking care of our kids, like they're fed, they're sleeping well, they're taken care of. And because the basic boxes are checked, we're like, I'm good. It's good. Everything's good. And it's, bro, no, it's not. You are a zombie and you're not feeling any emotion. Like, you're not feeling the bad, but there's no good either. You're not there anymore. You're like a shell of yourself.
I think that the Cocoon Butterfly, the 9 stages, gives you, it's like we talked about when Alyssa and I were first curating the program in Texas. As we were talking through it, it was like, for me anyway, that all of the things that we were putting together for this experience was all stuff that I had felt, but it didn't have a name and I couldn't identify it. And so once we put it together and we separated out in the stages, it was more, I don't know if attainable is the word, but it was more realistic. And you could put, okay, now I'm accepting this, I'm recognizing this. Whereas before, you may have done that, but there was no name for it and there was really no place for it. But now, because it's all on this infinity wheel, it's easier to visualize each of the stages, and it helps you be able to recognize the grief and do something about it, which comes back to putting your oxygen mask on first, because the whole program, every stage within the Cocoon Butterfly method, that's what you're learning to do, is putting on your own oxygen mask. And sometimes people can think that advice sounds selfish, but it's actually
I would argue a lot of people think that.
Yeah, it's very much survival. And a lot of it was how we were raised to believe taking care of ourselves is selfish, which is why us as women, as mothers, especially feel guilty when we put ourselves first. Even this weekend, there were small moments where I was like, oh, I got to log onto the computer. I got to see if this is done. I got to see if this is done. And none of it was for me. I needed to check on this project. I need to check on this project. But I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. So I didn't open any program that didn't have to do with my writing, but I still wanted to, like, I got to do this. And But it's the moment you realize that you're running on fumes, but you're still showing up for everyone else is really the time that you need to put that oxygen mask on. Because being an emotional support human for everyone in your life except yourself is so draining. And there's a lot of stuff that people don't see. I don't like tooting my own horn, but like you said, I was even named at the event because there's a lot of stuff that I do behind the scenes. And a lot of people they don't see it. I like to consider it like invisible labor. They don't see the planning that goes into it. They don't see all that stuff. They get there and they see what's in front of them. And they don't realize that everything that goes into something like that, somebody has to do it. It doesn't just happen. There's so many moving parts, like you said. And so I knew that I needed to take the time to put my own oxygen mask on and not do anything for anybody else. The event was there. It was going on. I did everything I needed to do on my end to do what I needed to do for the event. And that was it. So I didn't want that burnout to sneak up slowly like it has before in the past. So that's why I was like, nope, I'm not going to let it get to the point to where I'll just do it until I can't anymore, because you're at the point of no return at that point. So you have to put your mask on before it gets to that point.
Yeah. So I'm taking notes like as we're talking, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to forget this, because I squirrel a lot and then my brain goes in a different direction. So I do want to say, I think I said this in the last episode, that I truly believe everything happens for a reason. And you're talking about burnout. Even though it was so hard for some of us to not have our M, for many reasons, not just because of what you do for the event, but just because experiencing it with you is always better. But two things: the event went on, and there were parts that we had to move here, pivot here, yeah, pivot. And we know how to do that. We've done other types of events like our whole lives. Like, we're good on that. But the work that you do, not that it's not recognized when you are here, but I think that it definitely shone a light. And then also, it allowed you to breathe. So that maybe you have a lot, we're not going to talk about everything right now, but there's a lot in the pipeline for you. And again, everything happens for a reason. Like, you might have just needed this moment to pause so that when all of your blessings come through very shortly, that you're able to receive properly. And then also, the meme that I got that allowed me to relax my body after my mom passed, when I was carrying everything super tight, I think is a smaller version of the box, right? When we can name something and recognize it, and then that's like when we allow, right? And we accept. It's like how we go through the process. It's almost like you can't go through the process when you are living in lowland, when you don't know, when you're unaware. And so the box is such a beautiful thing, because those 9 stages help you, they give you somewhere to start. And it's not like you start here with this specific emotion or this specific event. It's generalized enough that anyone can do it. Find a place to start, work through their emotions, and move through the steps. So I do think there's something to be said about how we, the way showers, the way makers, the people who went through everything in the dark that went first, installed lights along the path as they went, so that people that are coming behind us have cheat sheets or lit paths with little arrows that say, go this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's also important to highlight that everything that we're talking about today, it's all part of the process. There's also a lot of guilt that comes with choosing yourself. Because like I said, we're taught to believe that taking care of ourselves is selfish. We always look out for other people, put other people ahead of ourselves. And so the first time you set a boundary, you freaking feel like you just robbed a goddamn bank because you like, this is not okay. And so some people will love the old version of you because that one never said no. And that's why it feels so odd when you finally say no.
You can't see that.
And I think there's a big difference between being selfish and being self-respecting. Self-respecting is putting your oxygen mask on. Now, being selfish is putting it on and turning a blind eye if somebody else might need your help putting theirs on. That's not to say stop taking care of you to help them. But it's just like they say on the airplane, make sure you secure yours before you help anyone else. Because there's the saying, you're no good to anybody else if you're no good for yourself. And you're just going to deplete.
I think the saying is, you're no good to anyone else if you're dead. I would never look at my daughter and be like, it's not all about you, Zoe. Get it through your mind. Other people live in this world. Like, fuck no. It is all about you. Now, do we need to... With my daughter specifically, she has everything that I learned in my 30s in her 9-year-old body. So I'm having the opposite, which I prefer, parenting style where I don't have to tell her to dim or to be less. I actually have to tell her, you're doing great and I see you shining, baby girl, go get it. But also while you're doing that, be kind. Yeah. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? I'm not saying don't say exactly what the fuck is on your mind. You absolutely have every right to say whenever exactly what's on your mind. But caveat and just trying to teach her to read a room so she know, like, partially for safety reasons, right? Like, partially for safety reasons, but also because to learn how to speak your mind in the most loving way is a superpower. And if she can master that by the time she's like 13, dude, sky's the limit for her, like her life. You know what I mean? That's a skill. And it will serve her well. But also, the other side of what I'm trying to get out is all of that. But when you have not learned that at a young age and you've built support groups around your lack of boundaries, when you change after people have relied on your boundaryless lifestyle for so long, they get mad. Mm-hmm. I talked about that this weekend, actually, in my talk on stage. It was when you shake the tree and all the fruit falls, not just like the low-hanging bad fruit. And that those people who are higher up on your tree that you have no idea that they're going to fall, those are the ones that use you the most is the absolute wrong, right? I don't know, do you have a better word? It's not use you, but benefits from your lack of boundaries. Once they fall, you're like, oh, once you get to the other side of your like grief and your shock, you'll realize what they benefited from affected you, but you won't realize it until they fall. You just won't.
Yeah, I think that points to the difference between being selfish and being self-respecting, because I think that phrase, and I've used it, I will be honest, I've used it, it's not all about you, but it was in situations to where the people that were that had the mindset that everything was about them, it wasn't in a sense of, I'm proud of who I am, I know who I am, and I'm going to stand my ground. It was ego. It was, my opinion is the only one that matters, and I don't give a shit what any of you say.
Yeah.
Then I feel like it's fair to say, this is not all about you and what you want.
Okay, but even in the moment that you're talking about, you don't have to burn a bridge to say what you're saying, is my point.
Yeah.
Because the person that you're talking to or giving that information to, they are who they are, and you're not going to change them. And most likely,
Right.
you're not going to change them in that one conversation. You're not going to have this, they're not going to have an epiphany because you spoke your mind. More likely, you're going to speak your mind and they haven't done the growth work, and they're going to process it through their ego first, which creates more anger, and it just pressures you and escalates you in a way that is going to lower your vibration. And when you leave that conversation, you've lowered your vibration, you're taking that back out into the world. It's not worth it.
And that's
it's not
why
worth the cost.
I think that I've done a lot of changing within my circle, because obviously there are some circumstances where you can't really avoid being in those situations, like at my job, for example, when I'm at work and we're in a setting to where everybody's giving their opinions. And
you can't just tell them to fuck off.
You can't just say, it's not about you, Linda.
So, like, in hindsight, I'm probably making it really hard for my daughter to have a job.
On a personal level, I choose to not be around people that are selfish. Now, if they're coming to it in a way of self-respecting, to where, like I said, I'm going to stand my ground. I know who I am. I know what I want. And I'm not going to let you change my mind, but your opinion matters too. Those are the people that I want around me. You know, that.
But also the people that challenge you, right? Like, a few people have said to me, you just want yes, man. I actually want the opposite. I don't want people to just say yes to me. I still want to be challenged. I just want a healthy challenge. I want one that opens my mind to a different perspective, not one that shuts me down and makes me feel bad about myself for the gain of. That's why I say it's how you approach something. And I don't think that we put a lot of thought into those micro differences. You're either like super aggro or you're super passive. And I think if we could get to a balanced place of speaking our minds, especially in places like your work, can be extremely helpful, not only for the company to raise the bar, but also to make a place where people feel respected and heard, and make it to a place where they don't want to, where they don't want to come in. What you're talking about is, I always compare it to back in the day when I wanted to, when I had to go into the call center, and I was like, just give me a bottle of vodka first. It's fine. And it's 5 a.m., like that type of forcing yourself to do something that you absolutely hate or don't feel like you're in a safe space anymore. That's what I think we can do in corporate companies. But I'm just saying, in perspective, if we did do this kind of work within corporate spaces, I do think we could find more of a balance where people feel happier and healthier in the jobs that they're choosing. And it can be a safer space. And then people stay longer and the company makes more. There's a lot of steps to it, but you get what I'm saying. You should be able to always speak your mind.
Yeah. I think that also going back to knowing who you are and not letting other people's opinions sway that, I think that's when the identity shift comes from, is when that's what happens when you stop overextending yourself. You start to really realize that I'm not going to put myself out there for other people, not because I don't care, but because I need to put myself first. And then you start to recognize the people who actually support your growth and then the people who resist it.
Yeah.
And
in a big way.
It's funny to me because it all comes down to putting your oxygen mask on first. That's what it all comes down to, because you're learning who you actually are when you're not consistently taking care of everyone else.
Yeah.
And because your brain is quieter, your mind is quieter, your body is quieter. A couple of ways that I just want to suggest that if people don't know how to put on their oxygen mask, just a couple of small ways is just taking time for yourself without saying, I'm sorry. Just go outside for 10 minutes and don't say, I'm sorry, I just need a minute. Don't apologize for taking that time. Just say no. We've said this a million times. No is a complete sentence. You don't need a 3-paragraph explanation. It's not a TED Talk.
What?
Just protecting your energy from the drama, the gossip, the chaos that is everywhere around us. But it's how we choose to deal with it, and we can either pull it in or we can repel it. It's our choice because it's inevitable. It's everywhere in life. Prioritizing sleep and rest and doing things that refill you. For me, it's writing. I love writing and I love doing things on the computer. Those are the things that fill me. That might not be what fills other people, but that's what fills me. So those are just a few things that you might not realize are putting your oxygen mask on, but they truly are. And when you start with the small things, it will grow into the bigger things. And now you're taking 10 minutes. Pretty soon you're going to take 30, and then you're going to take an hour. And then eventually you're locking your damn door and telling your kids, don't fucking come in. Don't. I'm done.
So true. But all of those things that you're talking about, Em, when we put our oxygen mask on, yes, we're saying no. Yes, we're putting ourselves first. But essentially what you're doing is you're taking control over the things that you have control over. You just forgot that you did. I can't control another human being. I can't control my 16-year-old. I dare you to try. Go for it. The stories you hear when they grow up, because I was that one, the stories that my family heard about me, they were like, you did what? You didn't know about it because you tried to control me, so I shut you out. So can you try to control things? Absolutely. But the things that you can control the most are you, your mind, your body, your soul, your actions. And so if you start on that inner circle, once you put your oxygen mask on, you start on that inner circle of the things that you can control. That's when, what Emma's saying, you start with those little 10 minutes or whatever. That's when they become pattern and they start growing. The energy grows. I can tell you that my kids now, it's been 3 years now, and they aren't mad at me anymore for choosing myself. And I think as they get older, they will respect it. I don't think they're there yet. Let's not poke the bear. Let's just let them have their opinions and handle things in what's within their control and their growth. I want them to choose the next step instead of me forcing. You can guide, right? I'm not saying like you don't have any control. You can absolutely guide. But the things that you have 100% control over are within. And as you control those, you start changing the outer.
Yeah. So when you start to put yourself first, you'll notice like your nervous system is finally calming down because you don't feel so anxious. You don't feel so jittery. You're not worried about the next thing, and then you start to get your creativity and your clarity starts to come back too. I noticed that an example is when I finally published my first book, which was my memoir. It was so heavy and it was so much to carry that after I finally published that and I could tell that I was healing because my nervous system calmed down. And within a month of publishing that book, I started a new one. Had nothing to do with my personal story, but I just had all these ideas flow into my brain. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And I would just start writing about it. And now I've written 13, 14 books, and I'm working on 2 more. It's going to be like a 6-part series. Had I not started to put myself first and start to heal from all the trauma that I had stuck inside of me, I don't think my creativity would have come back as quickly to the degree that it came back. And it also helps you show up better for the people that you love, because they can see that you're happier. Because when you're putting yourself first, you are much happier and you're just more pleasant to be around. You're just in a better place. You glow. You're just like you were talking about with my daughter coming back on the second day. She was just a whole new person because she was finally putting her oxygen mask on and putting herself first. Granted, she's got my 2 little granddaughters at home, and so obviously she has to take care of them. But for the first time, she probably felt like, now I can put my own healing on the front burner instead of putting it on the back burner. And so you can really see that in people. And I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for the little things that we do to take care of ourselves. Because like I said, it does build onto the bigger things. And eventually it just becomes second nature. Then you don't really question it. A lot of people will ask me questions about other situations in my life. And I'll be like, I don't know. I don't ask. I don't want to know. So I don't ask. You're going to have to go to that person and ask how that person is, because I don't know. I don't care. And I don't say that I don't care because I don't care about the person. I just don't care to have that weight on me to worry about that situation. And it's okay. I don't care. I'm not going to ask. I don't want to take that on.
Yeah. And these are all things, just once you realize what's happening, that you can start to take control of. But it starts with finding a program or finding something. And you don't have to be in said program for the rest of your life. Growth is a life thing. Your journey that you go on is a life thing. Shit doesn't ever stop trying to smack you in the face. It just doesn't. You just get better at dodging and flow and tools on your tool belt that help you manage the symptoms of the shit. You just get better at it. And so the next time something happens that really hurts you, you're more prepared. I don't know if that's the right word, but you have the tools to be like, hi-ya! You thought you got me, but you didn't. I did the work.
Yeah.
I find now when things happen to me that even a year ago would knock me out. Those types of cycles, I don't hit those anymore. When things don't go my way or people stop liking me, or as people cycle out of your life, I used to be very upset. And now I thank the universe. I thank God. I'm like, I appreciate the lessons and the good times that I had with whatever person this is. And I release them with love. No matter how it ends, I release them with love and I wish the best for them. It doesn't not hurt, but it doesn't knock me out anymore.
Yeah.
So, anything else in that big old brain you got, Em?
No, that's all.
Okay.
It's all the brain got today.
That's all she wrote?
That's all she wrote. Okay, let's move into her vibe check. Do you want to go first, Thylene, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My favorite thing that came up was the recognition of what you can control. I think it's so important to have that information to learn your body, your mindset, and how you function, to learn those things and realize for you, there's no one size fits all, but realize for you what control things that you can master, right? So that's really cool. And then also just hoping that people teach their kids, not dimming them, not repeating things that were done to you to them, even like how small they are. Don't tell your kids. Obviously, you can parent however you want. I invite you to not tell your kids you're so selfish. Try not to dim their light or make them think anything different than what they think for themselves. Like not trying to change their, I don't know, inner soul. Guide them, but don't dim them, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That was a rough one. I don't think I've ever had a rough her vibe check, but that was rough around the edges.
I'm glad you made it through unscathed.
Me too. We'll see.
Yeah. I think for me, it was just realizing that I think I already knew this, but it just confirms that putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's just showing responsibility. And because we've been taught that being the good person means sacrificing ourselves for everyone else, that's not true. The truth is when you're exhausted and you're just running on empty, you're not actually helping anyone. You're just surviving. And it's just so important to keep your oxygen mask on and making sure that you're strong enough to stay in the situation, in the relationship, or in your own life without losing yourself in the process because you weren't taking care of yourself.
When you do that, what you're talking about, you also teach the people in your space, in your world, how to love you. You're showing them by treating yourself a specific way. You're showing them the love that you, the love you want to receive, like how you want to be treated, and giving them permission to do it themselves as well.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for sticking with us. We hope you got a little nugget out of this episode. And I hope that you can find an area in your life to where maybe you're struggling putting your oxygen mask on first, to just throw some glitter on the shit, pull the mask up, and just put it on and walk around and, you know what, bedazzle that son of a bitch and wear that mask. Just wear it proudly.
I love you.
Don't give a shit.
Don't give a shit.
Don't give a shit.
Fuck it.
I literally want to find an oxygen mask now and bedazzle it. I definitely think a bedazzled oxygen mask, though, will definitely have people asking questions, and we'll say,
oh, we're going to wear them in Florida.
Hell yeah, we are.
It's happening.
All right. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. So until next time, just remember, somewhere a lion in a Hawaiian shirt is cheering you on. Bye, everybody.
Bye.